Disgusting, Larry.
Man. There's a little nice intro.
Greetings, loved ones, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be doing a little meet and greet with our new dog. Cleo Rue is her name, Rue for short. If you guys have read Watership Down, you may be familiar with her name. I will put the spelling of it on the screen.
You're looking the wrong way, you freaking stink.
She's a little dachshund puppy. She's about 8 weeks old and is just so sweet. And Larry is here too. He's just hanging out for this video. We wanted it to be like a nice family vid, so that's what we're doing today. And we're going to be doing a relationship Q&A / kind of advice video. I asked for you guys' questions on Twitter and Instagram, and you sent them on in. And aside from that, I also wanted to film this with Finley because his new album Self, Silence, and Free Will just came out on Friday, and I just want you guys to go and check it the heck out. It'll be linked in the description, okay?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Super excited about it.
So this first question I wanted to answer first off in this because I feel like some of you are going to watch this just to get the answer to this question. And somebody asked, are you guys still in an open relationship, in all caps? If we're talking labels, Shan Boudram does a great job at explaining that a label is just for the fast digestion of the relationship, baby. You know, for you to be like, oh, this is my partner, we are this, or something. I describe our relationship more as free now than I just do as open, because we're not like seeking out partners left and right and being like all open all the time, if that makes sense, but we're open to the idea of that becoming a thing. And I took this like commitment quiz from Shan Boudram as well. I don't know if you guys watch her on here, but I love what she speaks on. And basically the response I got from her commitment quiz was, you are DTF. And by that I don't mean down to fuck, but instead you're down to figure it out. And so we may swing from like being monogamous to being open to being poly and then back to monogamous. And really it's just having the commitment to communication. So that's what I feel about that.
I like the quote in there that said,
the only thing constant in this world is change. In a free relationship, this isn't just your reality, it's your mantra.
Yeah, so I like the emphasis that's put on the willingness to adapt to and accept change, but also in a way that's going to be mutually comfortable and beneficial to everybody. So it's not saying, hey, I'm gonna put up with anything that happens into the future just because I said I left it open-ended and said I would. But it's saying that, you know, I understand that maybe the way we feel at this moment in time won't necessarily be forever, and if it does change for either both of us or one party, I'm willing to then adapt in the way that will work for both of us. The idea is just that the freedom is there.
If you're with a person, you change a lot over the course of your lifetime, and like we're committed to each other and committed to understanding each other's needs, and so that's basically what we are. And I get that question a lot, and just generally get a lot of questions about open relationships because I think that people, you know, are very curious about that idea of non-monogamy. Holy shit, she's just hanging out. But if you're looking into the idea of non-monogamy, I would just say make it a conversation from the beginning with your partner. And then if you're looking into transitioning to something like that, just you have to communicate your needs and your wants and all of these things. And just make sure that all parties are on board, because, you know, nothing's gonna work if not all parties are on board.
Yeah, you can't force it.
Okay, and then this next question I got so much, and it was basically along the lines of how to stay independent in a relationship and not like lose yourself to the other person. You know, if you guys have your separate relationships, your separate friendships, like I have girlfriends that I hang out with and we like to, you know, have our kind of separate time. He's not necessarily there for every time, but he is for some. And I just think it's really important to also just like set aside your me time of, hey, I'm gonna be doing this today, or I'm gonna go and run this errand, and not necessarily being the partner in that situation being like, oh, I need to be there for that, you know, like I have to be there for everything you do. Because I mean, some people have a very different attachment style than others, so I would say just kind of identify your attachment style and try to figure it out, and just try not to, yeah, I mean, we all have those friends who like lose themselves when they get into a relationship, and it's never good. So just split your time as well as you can. That's my biggest advice, and try to see your friends and not just hang out with your partner or cancel plans without everybody else because you want to be with your partner all the time. It's just unfair. Someone asked me, how long should you wait to move in with your partner?
It's important to know the person that you're considering moving in with well enough to know that you're not making a poor kind of life move, either financially speaking or locking yourself into something that you're gonna, you know, either be hating deeply or wanting to get out, and thus being financially a bad decision for yourself. And I can't tell you what that length of time is with somebody, but I would guess at least a few months or something like that, if not maybe a little longer. Ask other people. Like, we're not always the best stretchers at that for ourselves, so maybe ask some friends or family that you trust and say, hey, does this sound crazy? Like, I know it might sound a little fast, but like I've really been into this person and think, you know, here's why I think that it's not such a bad idea. Like, how does that sound to you?
Yeah.
And if they're like, yikes, dude, yikes, then you should probably ask yourself, you know, why are they saying that? But if, you know, if they seem like you're not crazy, then you're probably not that crazy.
Yeah, that's super true, just to kind of get a gauge on the situation from other people. I moved into his apartment at the end of the first year that we were seeing each other. And I felt like we both were mutually like, this is going to be a great idea. And it's also financially a great decision before we then moved to Oregon. Every person is different in these situations, and some people just don't really work well in living together, and I totally feel that. But if you are open to the idea, or you're looking into it, or you think it would be just mutually beneficial, then follow your dreams. Who am I to say, you know, you shouldn't move in with them until 9 months down the road or something like that? Like, you know, it's all dependent on what you feel like. This is kind of an interesting question, but what do you do if your parents and friends don't approve of your significant other? These people who love us and care for us in our lives, they care about us for a reason, and they want us to have good people in our lives for a reason. So if you're bringing around, you know, not so good of an individual, and somebody is getting like a gut instinct about them, or your friends are like, oh my god, you're just completely like throwing your life away for this one, for Bobby, everything's all about Bobby, blah blah blah, and they just have a hard time accepting them, I would say that maybe you need to take a step back and just kind of like reevaluate what the relationship means to you, because that's what it's all about at the beginning, right? Are we having a great time, or am I feeling a little willy-nilly about it and looking for validation from outside sources? Like, if you love that person and they're treating you well and not hurting you physically or emotionally or any of those things, then I support it, but I also don't know the intimate details of your life, you know? What do you think about this?
My mom used to not like this girl, Nicole, just because she was blonde. You know what I mean? She was just blonde, she was really hot. My mom just didn't like that, so she didn't like Nicole. Or like, you know, I had a friend's mom who didn't like her daughter's boyfriend because he was black. And it's like,
yeah,
you know, you just have to understand the motivations and whether you think that it's rational. But, you know, I'd also say I had a lot of people for my last relationship who, you know, nobody was like, this is terrible, you're an idiot, get out of this, or anything like that. But I had a lot of people who were like, just generally thought maybe it wasn't you know, just the best thing in the whole world for me and stuff like that. And those were the voices that maybe I could have opened my mind to and listened to a little more, and I probably would have benefited from it. So it's definitely depends on who you're talking to.
This was an interesting question that I actually got a lot from a variety of people. My significant other and I don't have the same libido. In parentheses, mine's higher than his. What should I do? I think that you should have a conversation with them being like, hey, I'm a very sexual person and I would really love X, Y, and Z. But also not forcing anybody to get into anything that they're not into. Like, we have completely dealt with this situation before and have it to go off of. Me being in the same situation as you know, mine being higher, and having that conversation with him of being like, hey, you know, like I'm needing a little more in this area, but also not expecting anybody to fulfill me sexually just because we're in a relationship, you know? Like, yes, you should have a base level of fulfillment. Like, you shouldn't just be completely detached at all times, but you shouldn't be completely searching for them to be the only one to fulfill you, because then it puts a lot of pressure on just them. And if they're having trouble like getting into that mindset, or they're just not interested, like, how are they supposed to switch that on for you when they don't want to? Does that make sense? Anyways, I'll let Finley do a share.
It's fair to demand a certain level of affection,
yeah,
and a certain level of attention, but I don't think it's fair to demand sex.
No.
So if you feel unloved, then that's maybe very valid and maybe very fair, and you can request that love in many ways, but I don't think it's fair to be like, I want to be fucked more, that's your job, do it, and then to just expect that to happen immediately.
Yeah.
That's why it's important for everybody to feel comfortable with however the other person's going to get what they need.
Yeah.
And have it happen.
Yeah, whether it be like self-pleasure or like seeking out other partners, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Partner needs to be okay with, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think that that's when, you know, my last video kind of comes into conversation. I did a whole last video on self-pleasure and exploration, and just like being comfortable with that aspect of your own self, not just expecting your partner just because you're with them to fulfill your sexual desire at all times. Like, you need to be good in you first, you know, with yourself. Okay, we moved inside because my neighbor was using some sort of saw. Okay, this is kind of a fun one. I'll answer 2 more questions, this being one of them. How do you keep your love life spicy and romantic when you've fallen into a routine? It's really easy for lovers to get into a routine of like pleasing each other, you know? And so my favorite way to switch it up in some sorts is doing it in different situations, in different environments, if you will. Like, if you're normally just in your bed, maybe switch it up, go to a chair, you know, you have the living room, you got your car, I don't know. That's definitely one of my tips.
Limits are your imagination.
Yes. Also, what's really interesting is to have a conversation with them of like, hey, what are your sexual fantasies? And, you know, that might be a weird thing for some people to delve into and get more comfortable in talking about. But I think that, you know, as partners, you should be comfortable just sharing like, you know, I would really love if you were wearing this, or if we tried this out. Just like, you know, you don't have to fall into the same routine of just like penetration or something like that. As I was saying in my last video, there are many different things to explore. Mouths, butts, boobs, all of the above, hands, feet, whatever you please, you know? Just get crazy with it. Doesn't have to always be genital to genital. Okay. And then the last question that we're going to answer today is, how do you ignore normal doubts? I'm very much in love, but I still wonder about the long term. I wanted to answer this question because I had a friend reach out to me recently who was in a relationship and was like, you know, is it weird that I just like kind of sometimes just want to break up with him? Or I don't know, sometimes I just think about if we'll even last long term. I guess like a normal amount of just in your own head thinking about like, what is our relationship gonna look like in 10 years or something? Maybe that's normal, but I wouldn't say it's normal to be like, you know, today I'm thinking about breaking up with him. And I feel like if you are on board for this person in this relationship, like you wouldn't have those doubts ever because you are committed to that person. Like, I'd never really sit here and I'm like, you know, sometimes I just want to break up with Finley. I don't know, man. How do you feel about this situation?
That's your subconscious getting through.
Yeah.
Telling you, get out, get out.
Have you ever...
I mean, some of the worst things are when it's like 70% good, and then you're like, damn, I really wondered what it'd be like if I could just be with somebody who like almost always made me happy and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wasn't compromising so much on my life and my dreams or on my day-to-day, what I want to be doing or acting like. And like the truth is that person exists somewhere. As long as you don't just fall into a pit of depression and you actually get out there and meet people and, you know, have a circle and stuff like that, there's a good chance that you'll find somebody at least closer to that than what you're in now. I mean, especially the worst that you feel now. And I think, you know, I had no idea in the past how good love could feel. That let me be very comfortable in something that wasn't nearly as happy as this for myself. But then once I was sort of forced into the opportunity to go looking again, I was just like overjoyed with what I found and really pleasantly surprised, because I sort of thought I would, you know, never be able to find a serious relationship again, is sort of the mentality you go into. So yeah, I think if you're having thoughts like that, it's probably because a deeper part of you knows what's up, and the part of you that wants safety and security and is afraid of change is like, fuck that, I don't want to have to figure this shit all over again. But man, it can be worth it.
Yes. I would say don't compromise, you know, parts of you or your beliefs, and don't limit yourself to one thing because you think it's going to be, you want it to be forever, you want it to work, when you could have somebody who is fulfilling all areas in all facets for you. And you wouldn't know that unless you left X to go to Y, you know, and then there will be Z, and you could try out a couple of options and then find your one, if you will. Who even knows if there's a one, but you know, I just hope that you guys are with people who are bringing you fulfillment and joy. That's really my aim.
That's why I like trying to take a more freer angle at relationships, and it's the best idea to do it from the beginning, and that's what I did really well this time around for myself. Is I learned my lesson of last time. Basically, in our traditional relationships, you start dating, or you even basically start talking, and there's two things that are going to happen, is you all either stop being in each other's lives or you get married. It's like, it seems like those are the two options. I mean, sometimes you end up just as friends and stuff like that, but like, I think a lot of us are like, hey, you're pretty cool, I actually like you a lot right now, I'm not trying to think about anything serious, I'm like gonna go to college in London in like 9 months, but I'd really like to try out building a relationship with somebody without having a lifelong
it doesn't have to be
implication
that serious.
to it. Like, yeah, without seeing us as like taking a break, or like breaking up is something that is any sort of sad ending, as much as just like a transition into the next phase of life where you can have new relationships, and that person will be there to have different relationships even further on into the future with.
Exactly.
And that freedom, if you start things off with a freer attitude towards your relationship, and that doesn't even have to mean anything like open or anything, but just having a more open mind about what may happen in it. Almost all relationships end, so like it can make that almost inevitable ending a lot easier and almost not even a bad thing.
Yeah, or just like leaving the door open or something. And just like he was saying, not seeing if somebody's going off to college or you're having like different life paths, that not necessarily being like, well, I guess it's over. You know, like that person might flow back into your life, or you might have a friend who you never saw that way, and then it kind of evolves into that, like Finley and I got questions about that too, about just like, how did you go from friends to romantic? And we're like, I don't know, man. It just kind of evolved into that, and we really enjoyed each other's company. And then one day we smooched and we were like, holy shit. Okay, well, that was good. I would love to just keep hanging out with you, you know? And then we did, and now we're here. And it's been 3 years. So I think that, well, 2.5, right? Has it been 3? A little over 2.5. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Anyways, you know what I mean. Just sometimes things evolve in certain ways, and because we didn't put ourselves into this box of like what things, you know, are supposed to be, I feel like they've evolved into what they are now, which is just really happy and nice. And now we have this freaking puppy, and it's blessing our life, and we're able to just do stuff like this and share our, I don't know, our learnings with you. So I hope you enjoyed listening to them. If you're looking for something else to listen to, go and listen to Self-Silence at Free Will by Huck Finn. It's on all streaming platforms, and it's very good. My personal favorite song is about myself, and it's Wonder Woman, and I'm on it and doing a little poem on there, but I also really, really love the last song, and I also love Ghosts. I mean, I could just go on. I'll probably talk about this in my I Love This Stuff for this month, but anyways, I'll stop doing the blib blab. And if you would like to follow Finley on Instagram, it is at HuckFinnMusic. You can follow me at Meghan Hughes. And thank you so much for all of you who do follow me and sent in questions for us to talk about today. Oh my god, also, I have a Patreon. I completely fucking forgot to say that. If you would like to become a patron of mine, the link will be in the description. I'm uploading, we did a music session of Wonder Woman, and then a cover of I Love You Like an Alcoholic by the Taxpayers on there the other day. I've just been uploading some of my writing and things like that. So if you would like more more of my creations, go and become a patron. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up for me. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Ring the notifications bell if you'd like to be notified when I upload. And until the next upload, stay smiling. Bye guys. Adios. And say bye to little Rue. My little Flairoo.